When the actor Chadwick Boseman passed away in 2020 from cancer, his family lost a son, a brother, and a husband. And Hollywood lost an accomplished actor whose best work was ahead of him. Diagnosed with terminal cancer in 2016, he kept it private and devoted a lot of his time to children with cancer. He was a strong and courageous man that we all could learn from about how to live in this short life we have here on this planet. In our fairy tale world that we call the MCU, the fans have lost King T'Challa, the Black Panther. But remember, the title of Black Panther isn't a person. It's a title that's passed down. And I don't envy the decision makers over at Marvel, because this is a hard decision on what to do in determining who will be the next Black Panther. Welcome back to Comic Power. I'm your host, Comic Killer 72. Welcome to another episode of The Quick Flip. This is the program where I go over comic book industry news in a short period of time. Please subscribe to this channel and click on the notification button as well. It will remind you when new videos drop. All right, let's get right into it. The president of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, says that they will not be recasting the T'Challa character. So who will be the next Black Panther? Let's start with some candidates. General Okoye is the highest ranking person in the Wakandan army, and she was working as the unofficial head of state when Shuri and T'Challa got blipped after Infinity War. But I do not believe that she will be the next Black Panther. Of course, there's Nakia, who's the love interest of T'Challa and a spy in the Wakandan military. And although she too is a very important character, I do not believe that she will be the next Black Panther. Saying no to them has nothing to do with the fact that they are female. And there's been a million arguments on the internet about who's going to be the next Black Panther, but I don't think they understand the rules of Wakandan law. According to Ziri, the late high priest of Wakanda, only a Wakandan of royal blood can challenge for the throne. Don't believe me? He said it himself.
Is there any member of a royal blood who wishes to challenge for the throne?
So there you have it. You not only have to challenge in ritual combat, but you also have to be of royal blood. So Okoye and Nakia are not of royal blood. If they were, then they would have challenged Killmonger when he took over. Which brings us to Killmonger. This too is a bad idea of him becoming the next Black Panther. And I give a hard no to this for 3 reasons. Number one, you have to come up with some cheesy way of, oh, he really didn't die at the end of Black Panther. He was just injured, or they revived him with some high-tech medicine. Number two, it's disrespectful to T'Challa's memory that this traitor was able to get the throne after T'Challa risked so much to stop him. Number three, Agent Ross is aware of Killmonger's plan, and he would rally all the forces in the world to come back to defeat Wakanda. So somehow, some way of Killmonger taking the throne after the events of Black Panther #1 do not make any type of sense. So just kill that. So we have no evidence that King T'Challa had any children at the time, and we have no evidence that Marvel was going to age up the timeline like 20 years where him and Nakia got married and had some kids. So we're assuming that the events of Black Panther are taking place pretty close to the 2023 timeline that Marvel has already established. So let's look at some serious contenders to the throne going forward. And the most obvious is Princess Shuri, which is the sister of Black Panther, and T'Challa didn't have any children that we're aware of, so that makes her next in line for the throne. We also have some precedent based on the comics because Shuri did take over as Black Panther before in the Black Reign storyline, in which T'Challa is severely injured and comatose, and for over a year she becomes the acting Black Panther in the comics. I'm sure you've seen plenty of pictures about this on the internet and people talking about it. But what they forgot to mention is that T'Challa makes a full recovery and returns to being Black Panther, and Shuri steps down. But in the live action movie universe, T'Challa is not coming back, so that changes the equation. If she wanted to become the permanent Black Panther, then she would have to fight for that right in ritual combat. She would not be allowed to use any advanced technology in the battle, and she's what, 5'5", 120 pounds at best? So she's a small teenage girl without any military or fighting experience. So that brings us to our next candidate, which is M'Baku, the leader of the Jabari tribe. And his candidacy makes the most sense. Number one, he is of royal blood. He leads the Jabaris. Number two, he's 6'6", 300 pounds. He would crush Shuri like a gnat. He would challenge her because he doesn't respect her. Remember this?
As your technological advancements have been overseen by a child who scoffs at tradition.
So nope, Shuri is not defeating M'Baku in ritual combat. It's not happening. And in real life, the actor that plays him, Winston Duke, has been spotted, and this guy is huge and ripped with muscles. So I think they have a plan for him to possibly be Black Panther based on that. So the other potential candidates to be Black Panther It's characters that we saw cameos of in the first Black Panther movie that could rise up and take the throne. And they are royals from Wakandan tribes. But the fans of the movie universe are already vested in these characters that have already been established. So one coming out of nowhere is very unlikely. And what do you expect to happen here? Queen Ramonda is going to become Black Panther? She wasn't even involved in the fighting in the third act of the movie. So in saying that, I think M'Baku makes the most sense for being the next Black Panther. Please make sure you speak up in the comment section about who you think will be the next Black Panther. Next up is Wicked Wednesday, the new comic book pick of the week. And that's going to be Geiger, 80-page giant #1 from Image Comics. Let me explain a little bit about Geiger before we move on. First off, Geiger #1 make my list of one of the top 10 comics of 2021. The hero of our story is Tariq Geiger, a man who lives just outside of Las Vegas when a nuclear bomb goes off, and he tried to save his family by getting them in a shelter, but has to fight off his neighbors who are trying to steal it for themselves. His family makes it to the shelter, but he doesn't. He gets blown up in the nuke. But because comics, he doesn't die, he gets radioactive man-type powers. Written by Jeff Johns and illustrated by Gary Frank, it was an excellent sci-fi 6-issue story arc. It was a hit and it created a loyal fan base to it, so this 80-page one-shot is basically expanding upon the universe. Definitely worth picking up, but you also have to pick up Geiger #1 as well for this to make any sense. The runner-up is going to be Primos #1 from AWA Studios. It's a story of two Mayan brothers in ancient times that build a spacecraft and go out into space, and then they come back to Earth and find out that their civilization has been destroyed, and they vow revenge. AWA has been making some very good science fiction comic books, and you should give them a shot. Some other books to check out are going to be Fantastic Four Reckoning War #1 from Marvel Comics, Sabretooth #1 also from Marvel Comics, and The New Masters #1 from Image Comics, which dives into Afrofuturism. I want to close by taking another look at the Eternals. Now that it's on Disney Plus, everyone that was a holdout that didn't see it at the theaters now have an opportunity to see it at home. And the consensus is most people don't think it's very good, and I agree. I recently made a video about the 27 Marvel releases so far, and I ranked the Eternals number 25 out of 27. So what's the problem, and why is this the lowest rated movie by the fans since Thor Part 2? Of course, the trolls had to chime in and said that the movie failed because it was trying to be quote-unquote woke. Yes, 6 of the 10 major characters in the film were some type of ethnic minority. Yes, you had the first openly gay superhero in Marvel. 5 of the 10 members of the team are female. And you had the first superhero in a movie with a disability in that she was deaf. But this movie didn't live up to its expectations, not because it was quote-unquote woke. That's just hogwash. This movie fails because of 2 reasons. Number 1, casual fans have no idea who the real villain is in this movie. And number 2, you have an ensemble cast of 10 characters that nobody has ever heard of. There are no grounding popular characters to connect this movie to the rest of the MCU for casual fans. So you wind up spending 2 hours and 30 minutes trying to establish this movie, keep the action going, and introduce 10 different characters with 10 different backstories. Some will say, well, Guardians of the Galaxy worked and it introduced a lot of unknown characters. The difference is that in Guardians of the Galaxy, Peter Quill is the central character, and every character in it is supporting to his main story. But the Eternals tries to give equal time to 10 different characters, and that's just not possible, so you have several undeveloped characters that we don't care about. Ask a casual fan what Salma Hayek's role was in this movie, and they probably couldn't tell you. So in saying that, the Eternals fails not because of wokeness, the Eternals fails because of underdevelopedness. They could avoid this mess and just made this a Disney Plus show in the first place and gave us about 8 episodes at 40 minutes apiece. That's 320 minutes, so give or take about 5 hours and 15 minutes of storytelling broken down in 8 different chunks. And they could have gave us a cameo of, say, Professor Hulk when he learns about the existence of the Eternals and let him be the establishing, grounding character, but he's too injured after the snap to really do anything about what's happening. So he's in it to connect all of this for the rest of the casual fans, but he's too injured to do anything about what's happening in the first place, but at least gives us a establishing character. So tell me, do you think that the Eternals would have been better if it had been on Disney Plus? What do you think about my idea of putting the Hulk in it? Be sure to speak up in the comment section. You know the drill. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, give it a thumbs up, and share these videos on social media so others learn about the Comic Power channel. While you're here, be sure to check out some of my archive videos about the Black Panther franchise, like how its $1.3 billion take was the highest grossing movie with a majority black cast, and its Oscar nominations. And once again, thank you to my subscribers and my viewers who support Comic Power. Until next time, this is Comic Killer 72 for Comic Power saying bye-bye.